Um, if I download Windows Word, is it called like that? Microsoft Word?
Word. Okay.
Word, like the Microsoft Word software. I cannot put it on a DVD or like USB stick and give it to you. That is illegal. And yeah, and that's like the difference. Mostly. Yes.
So I imagine it's possible to change your software license throughout the way.
Yes. Yeah.
So technically, if some company chooses to change their license agreement from like copyleft to something else, like what are the legal obligations of that company? Is it even possible to notify the offsprings of that license? And how would you imagine that would turn out in like legal issues? Because that would pretty much like suck for the little companies don't know what's happening.
Yeah, so yes, I think mostly if we go from copyleft, I think what I can imagine, I'm not like an expert in the sense that like I didn't study so much into that, but it is mostly a thing of I could imagine that it's possible if you are the first the first one, but I cannot if I use a software from someone else, because I'm legally bounded to use it if I come from there. And that's also like the reason why it's not really liked by companies to use this, but like companies actually pretty much like the permissive, which is one, it's kind of like MIT, it's called MIT, but because let's say I'm a company and I actually have some software, I can pretty much redistribute it with permissive, with a permissive like MIT license, and then someone else can come and take the software and make a company out of that. Like for example, React, or like a lot of frameworks that we're using right now have this type of because you are not legally bounded to open the source code to everybody. But the copyleft, I think it would be really not permissive from that perspective, in the sense that if you're the first one, I can imagine that could be possible. But if you're in the middle, I don't think you can, apart from rechanging your entire code. At that point, it's a problem for the other people to say, oh, actually, now we are different. Maybe like what is called in computer science, you can create a new branch. In the sense, there's like a version that uses still the same license, and then there's like a new branch that uses a new license. But you have to change if you're using any type of like copyleft software.
Okay, I see.
Actually, I wanted to add something which was interesting for me. I do believe that actually like copyleft was a really important license for the software, because of copyleft we have projects like the Linux kernel. So if you don't know, so this is a Linux operating system. You can it's not important, but it just creates it's based on Linux kernel, and then there's the operating system, but not that many people know about this. And it's not, but in the same time, where's my phone? My phone uses Android, and Android is actually the biggest distribution of, one of the biggest distribution of Linux. And this was only possible because of the copyleft. Because if the creator of a Linux kernel had used the permissive one, actually what would have happened is people would have just made changes, and just went and made a company out of it. So it's really important that like this actually created more of this type of projects, because people had to reshare what they modified. And actually the creator that is of Linux kernel, which is Linus Torvald, said that that was the main reason why he used the copyleft, like the GPL. Because he said, if I want, like he was like a student, a university student, and he created this software, and he said, if I do some type of, like create a software, I would like people to take it, change it, but I would like to see their changes, because that can help me. So that's the only reason why he actually chose that license. And because of that, actually, an entire community started out of it.
So in terms of the copyleft license, does it create like a chain and actually trace roots back to the original creator of that license?
Yes.
And it does sound like a blockchain to me.
I mean, in computer science, you have many times this thing of kind of like lists where people, like where objects or like anything is like connected to the object that came before, of the data that came before. So also funny thing is blockchain, like the algorithm as blockchain, it wasn't invented for Bitcoin, but it existed like 30 years before that, and it was just used for the first time to make money, or like it's a crypto value, but it's another discussion.
What do you think of piracy and how does it relate to this?
So, I don't know, like it's obviously like, let's turn off the mic, but it is a pretty difficult discussion, I think, that one. Also because that's the entire point of like, is software an object or it is not? In the sense, if I can own a car and I can destroy it, why can I not just do the same thing with the software? But at that point, if we just retake the same rules that we had for the cars or for the objects, we have a problem, which is I can code something and then I can give it to you, I can sell it to you, but you can copy it really easily and resell it to you. At that point, I worked for nothing. So
How do you prove it? All the legal stuff.
I mean, obviously we have piracy, and like it's really like I think Photoshop like had like major problems with people pirating like its software, but I think you can prove it easily actually. Like if you're like a web agency or like any type of agency, and you're pirating like Adobe, and they're gonna control actually if you are pirating or not the software. So
How do they know that?
they can check your.
From my experience, when I was in high school, we heard a story that in Riga, the police came to some design company and like physically got sort of a legal warrant from I don't know where, but yeah, they checked their computers and they couldn't find a licensing agreement, so they had to like take all the equipment, and because they used Photoshop without the license.
Right.
If you bought it, you have also because it's not really cheap. It's kind of like I don't know how much it is. It's probably like 1,000 something per year. So you are gonna have it. You have the bill. Also because as a company, you're probably how do you say? Like you're taking away some type of like tax here, but. I mean, like it's obviously the thing from like if you like if we go back to like if with big companies it's really difficult to like pirate it, but privately it's pretty easy. But at the same time, we have the same thing with games, and games pretty much sorted it. I don't think that games are pretty like a economy that is like losing so much money because of piracy. So I don't know. I obviously I think there's like. It is immoral to pirate something, but yeah.
What if some small or big company like steals your code, pirates your code? Like, I just want to know how legally do you like go after them? How do you sue them?
If you have a proof? For example, let's say, okay, there's actually like a TV series now that you can watch on Netflix.
Yeah.
We should call Netflix and ask for money for talking about this thing. They, which is called the $1 Billion Code. This German startup in the 90s created what Google Earth did in the 2004. And created mostly because the creator talked to an engineer, which then in 2004 went to Google and recreated the same thing. Now, it was easily proven that they actually used it, in the sense